Okay, guys, welcome to episode 12 of 2.5 Men. Just want to say before we begin that we appreciate all of the love and support that you show us. I speak to some of my friends, some of my family, and they say that they are loving it and enjoying it, and they like you too as well.
Wow.
Anyway, so so welcome. So yep, episode 12. These episodes are flying by, aren't they? It's going crazy.
It is exciting.
So obviously we've got Mr. Howard Jones.
Hello.
And we have Mr. Lewis Ross, aka Rossi.
Hello.
That face,
no mic issues this week, we hope. We'll see how it goes. So this week it's kind of like I try and think about agendas and everything like that before, but kind of just after we do the episodes, and it kind of goes to my mind. This week I didn't actually have anything until I watched the Champions League games, and I was falling asleep because I wasn't enjoying them. I was watching Champions League games and I was going, this just doesn't feel like it did when I was younger. Like I was in my teens or my early 20s and I was watching Champions League, and it was like magical. You hear that Champions League anthem and you're like, someone's about to go down. Them old Chelsea-Liverpool games, I remember a lot. Like in the 2006, 2007, them sort of years. Them games were mad. Oh, yeah. And I just look at the games there and I'm just a little bit bored. So I kind of want to have that discussion with you guys, kind of thinking, is Champions League getting weaker? Do we feel that it's not as strong as it once was? Do we think?
I think Premier League teams, I think their standards have still stayed the same. I think, other than United.
No, snap. Not Chelsea.
I think like the quality in like the Italian league has gone down, and obviously I don't know, PSG just don't seem the same, and Barcelona obviously have not been the same since Messi left and like Xavi and Iniesta have left and that. So I think this Champions League in particular, I'd say is the weakest Champions League it has been for probably since I've been alive.
Yeah. Do you feel that the Premier League is a direct result of that then? Do you feel like all the money's in the Premier League, it's suffocating all the other ones, and they can't keep up with the amount that players cost these days? Do you think that's one of the issues then?
Probably, yeah. I think other than like Real Madrid maybe, and probably Bayern, they've managed to keep like the key players, and obviously signed the likes of Kane. I think other than them two teams, I think a lot of other teams are struggling to compete with the Premier League because that's where the money is, ain't it?
Yeah, I don't feel like the Premier League's bossing the Champions League. Not like Arsenal, but lose the lens. I think Man City haven't looked that convincing. Obviously, Newcastle lost to Dortmund in the end, didn't they? Lost 1-0.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't feel like they're bossing it like I thought that they would. I thought that we'd cruise through the Champions League group stages like Arsenal, but obviously had struggles against Seville, and then kind of Man City was struggling against young boys in the week, and obviously managed to win in the end. Who else we got in the Champions League? We got Newcastle, Man United as well. Man United are just,
Well, that bad, you forgot about them.
Yeah. Honestly, they look like they've won a competition to be in there. Oh my god, we've won a raffle.
It's a weird one for me this season because obviously I like watching Liverpool in the Champions League, and it's weird not seeing them in like the Europa League. It's hard for me to really take a real interest, but I don't know about you two, but I feel like the top teams in the Premier League, their main focus seems to be the Premier League, because it's if they've noticed Man City could slip this season, so it could be their chance to go on and win the league. So it just seems to be more focused on that than anything else.
But yeah, go on, Howard.
I'm just trying to think. Actually, you are right. I'm not really
digest it all.
Yeah, no, I am interested this year in the Champions League. I'm trying to work out if I do think it's weaker or not. And I do kind of agree with you, but I don't think it's. I'm trying to. If I say something, I feel like it's going to still prove that it is a weaker tournament. Like even if I say like, yeah, the caliber teams aren't the best, and so well, that means it's weak. But the games to be fair, the games just haven't been that exciting for me.
Yeah, I think that's
Even when I've seen
main
the
part, isn't it?
highlights. Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
than the Newcastle PSG game, I think that's the only been the exciting game really so far. But I was going to say, I think we've been just the first few games of the group stage. It's hard to judge it, and when we get to the knockouts, maybe we'll see more then if how weak it is or how strong it is, whatever.
Well, maybe because I suppose all of our focus is on the Premier League.
Yeah.
As people watching the Champions League, so we can't really. Part of me thinks, oh, a midweek game is going to affect what's going to happen at the weekends.
Well, other than Lewis Law, because obviously his team's in there.
Yeah, I know, but it's still what I mean. Like, I think like Lewis may be actually more concerned about what's going on in the Premier League than he is in the Champions League. So it may, you know what I mean? The games just aren't, because I am still waiting for the Premier League weekends to kick off. I'm not looking really for the Champions League, but they are nice games to have, especially for me. I like seeing those teams play, but I'm still more excited for the Premier League. And I don't know, and maybe it's just a mix of teams in there. Like, it's one of the first years you had a real. Obviously, you got Man U, who I know they got there, but they don't. I feel like they don't not deserve to be there, but they're just not in that space. I still don't know how they managed to even get third last year. I genuinely don't know how that happened, but it happened, and it just feels a bit weird.
Sure luck. It's just pure luck, isn't it?
I think with Arsenal, I'll agree with what you say. I think because there's no real pressure on Arsenal to win the Champions League, really, as long as they get to like a quarter final, that's a decent start back. And obviously their main focus now is because of City not looking exact same as it was last season. That's Arsenal's chance now to go ahead and knock them off the top.
Well, I think for me, I've waited 5 years for Arsenal to get back into this competition, and then you just look at the caliber of the weaker teams. It feels like a World Cup. I feel like you've got so many groups that are just kind of predetermined of who's going to go through and who's not going to go through, and then you've got one group of death, which just feels like the World Cup. You don't with the Champions League, you've usually got two big teams, and then usually that third team's pretty strong and could get a chance. But like this season, like we're essentially at the moment for me in the Europa League. I feel like we're in the Europa League plus with the group that we're in. It's daft. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm just like I'm going. Oh man, I can't wait for us to play Lens. I know we lost to them. But then you go, oh, then we're playing Seville, then we're playing PSV, and I'm like, well, who are these teams in the Champions League? Like, it's just mad to me. And then like Celtic come in, and Celtic years ago used to be they could cause some teams problems, but then they're just so much weaker than they were. So I think I'm just looking at it going, only Newcastle's group is interested, but then PSG can smash AC Milan. You're just like, well, that's rubbish as well, because PSG look weaker than they were, but then they're going battering someone like AC Milan.
So would you prefer Arsenal to be in Newcastle's position in that group?
I'd rather us go in there, because it's one of those kind of catch-22. It's like when England went on in the was it the Euros? We had the easiest running, and then we got all the way to the final.
The World Cup, wasn't it?
World Cup, yeah, it was the World Cup when we got to the semis. We got to semis. Yeah, you just play all the mediocre teams with the really crap teams, and then you get to that point where you're finally playing a good team, and then you just get let down. So I'm not saying you should Champions League, if you're going to win it, you've got to go and beat everybody and prove yourself. But you want excitement through it. You want those games that are just going to give you that excitement and give you that edge. So it's like, imagine you're going to play Lens and then you're going to play Luton on the weekend. You're like, what kind of week is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think when you're in the Champions League, if you do win it by beating like the best teams, it feels like you've won it the proper way.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it and you're beating like Lens, PSV, and just the teams what are not bad, but just they're there to make up the numbers, ain't they, really? And if you go and beat them teams, you just don't feel like you've won it as convincing.
It's like Real Madrid, isn't it? Real Madrid's from a few years ago when they beat Chelsea, beat Man City. That was the weakest Real Madrid team that you'd seen for a short period, and they should have lost most of those games. But winning the Champions League with that just shows, like, it probably felt. That's probably one of the greatest like Champions League achievements that I've probably seen, bar obviously like a Porto winning it or someone like that, because they should have lost most of the games that they've played in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a mad Champions League.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
actually. I personally, I just, as a more of a neutral to watching the Champions League than you both actually, because you've both are fans of clubs that are in or around that elite status of European football. I I don't find it as weak as probably you do, but I do understand exactly what you mean. The names in the last few years in the Champions League have changed.
Yeah.
Have changed massively, and I suppose a bit of unknown comes with it because again, like Lens that you lost against, like you, I didn't really know much about them, but they still managed to get one over you on you. That doesn't mean, that still means that you are a strong team, and that's a scalp for them. And you still get those odd games if you look for them, but it's still not on the forefront of my mind this year than it has been. I think that kind of that gloss has gone off the Champions League for me, and I'm trying to understand why. I don't know if it's the names. I think it's just the players. I think there's less star quality. I feel, and I know we're going through that era because all the elites that were pushing ridiculous records are not in the Champions League anymore. I mean, is it the first time that Messi and Ronaldo haven't been in it?
Said it's the first time. Yeah, they did it at the start of the Champions League. There's still high quality there, like really high quality.
Yeah,
like,
you are exactly. But yeah.
But not that. I know
is.
what you mean. There's not that. Like them two are like gods, weren't they?
Well,
Whereas like Haaland and Messi and Mbappe are kind of like superstars, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're
what you mean.
emerging, so they've still got that. They're getting there. Like for example, like Jude, I think I would watch most games that he's in because I think he's getting to that level. But he's just constantly performing in the Champions League. But you are right. There's just games that you just don't want to see, and it's weird because I don't. When I used to watch the Champions League, there was always seemingly a good tie every Tuesday or Wednesday, but you're not getting that often, are you? You feel like I can miss both of those days and I can watch the highlights instead of actually I'm going to watch this game. But again, that just may be me more like caring about the Premier League and wanting that back and stuff. But yeah, I see exactly what you mean, and I think that goes down to the Europa, and it may be a consequence of having the Conference League in effect as well, because it's changed the hierarchy of what people try and aim for. Because if you get into Europe, there's maybe a lot of clubs, because there are more clubs in Europa that were in the Champions League, and vice versa in the conference who were in Europa, that you don't have to like you've got more space in your league to fail, haven't you? Like you can get sixth or seventh and still be in Europe, which is still a cash cow in some way, so you still get some money. So maybe some of those teams are just kind of, they don't really force themselves.
Where they are, like.
Yeah.
They're changing the format next year. They want not next year, in 2025. They're doing kind of a bit more of a league format before they go into the knockouts. So
I
don't know if that will
understand
make it a bit more
yet.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know if it'll make it a bit more interesting because I don't know if they're only going to have like 2 leagues, and then you kind of get the opportunity for bigger teams to play over bigger teams. But yeah, I think it is. I think the way it's run is it's kind of like we say with a club. If the people who own it are rubbish, that tends to filter down. That poison tends to filter down and eventually infect the whole club. And that feels like that with the with Champions League. The people at the top are clearly just after the most money that they can get. They don't care about the competition. They don't care about the thingies. So all they're doing is they're just infecting it with their nonsense to get more money out of people. So then clubs like probably like Young Boys or even maybe Lens probably deserve to get in, but these teams that are just not on that sort of level, because we are talking about Champions League, and it was said years ago that even teams like Arsenal or even maybe like Liverpool shouldn't be in there because they haven't won anything in that league. Like, so say Man City win the Premier League, they deserve to be in there because they are a champion. So it's kind of that thing, isn't it? So they opened it up because they wanted more teams to go in there and they wanted it to be like that. But then you just think maybe you should change the name now. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a strange one for me.
Yeah, saying that, I'm supporting the club that wants to get there. So it'd be interesting to see, like, if that was to happen with. I see most teams. I suppose it's happened with Newcastle this time. They're like a new name. They haven't been there for a while. Initially, I did find it quite exciting that they're in there, especially that PSG game. It is like
that was nice. I enjoyed that.
If there is a game that I watch, and it's true, I did watch the Newcastle Dortmund game. It will be them because I'm excited to see what they do on their journey. But around that, there's not like a few games because I swear I used to like proper watch all the highlights and make sure I was like in time, so know or when all the goals came in. I haven't done that this year.
No, no. Yeah. You got five Champions League spaces this year, so at the minute Villa are in that space, aren't they? So
yeah.
So technically, you could get into the Champions League this season, but I just hope that it does improve. But like Rossi said earlier, they're getting into that knockout stages. It might give you that bit more of a buzz. But then I think in my head, you go, I'm gonna wait till February to get to that point where I can start getting excitement from the Champions League. I feel like I'm in round 3 of the FA Cup at the minute. Mad. Shall we move on to my next section, which I'm a little bit excited to go through, and I've even written down predict. Did you just pull a face then?
Just when you said that you're excited, I thought,
I've seen you. I'll show you. I'll show you excitement, lad.
I don't want to see it.
I think I'm sitting down.
Your standard's got nice trousers on.
Yeah, literally.
And you don't need to edit that either.
Yeah,
unless I stand up. So we need to go. We're going to do the next section, which is called player versus player. So what I've done is I've picked several duels from players in very, very similar positions, and I want you to give me kind of like a debate and an argument about what player you think is better. So some of them are pretty obvious that you'd think the answer is, but then the stats could change your mind. So I'm actually going to start. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5, and I was going to start with the wingers to begin with, but I'm actually not. What I'm going to do, and I don't have any stats on this because it's hard to do statistics around this because it's around CDMs, but I thought this was a good one to have. And so the first one is Fernandinho versus Kante.
Aye.
So, and I think your first thought in your head is to go, N'Golo Kante. But Fernandinho for so many years was fantastic.
Why Fernandinho?
See, I was thinking Kante straight away. See, who was going to say Kante? Yeah. But Fernandinho.
Kante did it solid for 3 years. He was probably the best player in that position for 3 years, but he didn't do it for long enough. Fernandinho had his standards for years. Just consistently at the top level.
Might even say he was better than Rodri, to be fair, because I think Rodri's kind of overshadowed Fernandinho's kind of legacy a little bit because he's so strong at the moment. But then in my head, I actually think that Rodri is so strong at the moment because CDMs are not that strong these days as they were. So I do think that Fernandinho versus Kante is actually a good debate, really, because my first thought was Kante, but then I looked at Fernandinho and went, this guy was rock solid for years. He was tiny as well. He was absolutely tiny.
Yeah, it seems it's weird, isn't it, that in the 90s, early 2000s, there was like big CDMs. And then I remember Makelele because he was small and tiny, but he was a beast. But the only reason I think of Kante is because of what he did to teams when he joined. Like, he was that guy, and you don't get that from that position. Fernandinho was in the middle of other stars and doing bits and pieces, but what Kante did pretty much single-handedly, but what happened with Leicester was ridiculous. And when he went to Chelsea, it happened again. And I just think, Fernandinho, you are right. I get it, the longevity, but he had those players around him for longer. And for me, that kind of initial impact and how much pressure they put on him, he didn't falter, and he did that with the national squad as well, with France as well. He was it's a tough one because I like them both. Fernandinho looks taller than I think he looks tall. Maybe because he's so slender. I thought he was actually taller, but I just looked. Yeah, he's not that big, is he?
Is it like 5? Was he 5'8", 5'9"?
Something like yeah. No, it's not.
Kante was only like 5'5", 5'6", wasn't he? Only. It's tall. That's average height. That is. Yeah, it's average height.
I'm more a bit of how Kante seems to be off the field as well. That kind of, I know he's quite religious. He just keeps himself to himself. Yet he's so highly thought of. Just
he's very soft, isn't he?
Yeah,
him on his bicycle. That picture of him on his bicycle is just. it's just like watching it. It's like watching a 5-year-old, and I'm like, how is this guy out there just nipping people's ankles? It's mad.
Yeah.
But I think Fernandinho, where Kante was. See, when I look at Kante as a CDM, I never thought of control. I never looked at Kante and thought this guy has got control of a midfield. He looked like he was just very dogged and kind of nipped at people's legs and managed to break up play very easily. But where Fernandinho, he controlled midfield. He gave the people in front of him license to go off and be whatever they wanted to be. My only issue with Kante is the managers that he had, because some of them at some point put him at cam and kind of destroyed his career towards the end a little bit, because I know what they were doing. They were trying to defend from the front and try and get the ball back quickly, but it just didn't work. And even two managers did they? So for me, it didn't work in that regard. But I just thought Fernandinho, he was great at passing. He could break up the play, he could control a game with relative ease.
I think he was cleverer. Like, Kante's a soldier. You know what I mean? Like, you tell him what to do and he'll do it, and he'll do it well. Because he did play those positions quite well. But you are right, he wasn't his position, but he could do a job. He could do a job all over the pitch. I think, didn't Chelsea play him quite high up one game because they didn't have any strikers, so they needed to play him anyway.
They played like a false 9 with him, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, which is daft in it, really, when you think about it.
Fernandinho, he was more of a thinker. Like, he could read a game and understand what he needs to do within that game. Whereas Kante, he didn't. I say didn't, but he sounded like he needed to have instructions or to be told to make sure he's doing a certain job. And to be fair to him, he did it well, and that works.
I think you read it right with what you said, because you said he was a soldier, but Fernandinho was a general.
Yeah.
I think if Kante was in that Man City team and Fernandinho was probably at Leicester and Chelsea, I think I'd look at it different. But obviously, I'm looking at it as how it was. And I just think because Fernandinho had that longer successful career with Kante, he joined Leicester when he was up mid-20s. Then he went to Chelsea, had a few good seasons, but then he got played out of position. He had a lot of quite bad injuries, and for me, a player's only as good as the fitness, which Fernandinho was always available.
Well, he played centre back as well, didn't he? He played centre back. I think he played full back as well. He played centre back for near enough most of the season, didn't he?
I just think he's one of them players where Fernandinho gets overlooked a bit. Like, nobody really speaks about him, and I think he's got to go down easily. He's one of the best CDMs in the world ever.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree, actually.
I know it's hard in that Man City team because it's hard to stand out in a Man City team when it's full of quality players.
Top quality players.
So you are right. I think he's massively overlooked. But you just made me think. Imagine Kante playing for a Pep team, because talk about soldiers. Pep is that guy that tells you what to do. I remember hearing Grealish saying like he's not allowed to be that free, but Pep allows him to do what he needs to do and to try and exploit that. And if the time comes for him to be free, then he can. But I think Kante, with the fact that he just literally pretty much bends over and does what he's told, he will be. I know. I'm not saying this is. Yeah, I'm not saying
mine and Ross's job to be filthy, not you. Jesus.
But I reckon he would be pretty class, really. It'd be I always like little random scenarios like that. If Pep managed like a lower club team and stuff like that, class.
I'm gonna do that one of the weeks. We're gonna do a what if thingy. So who's going for what then? So Howard, who are you picking?
Oh, you're right. I started with Kante, but then you can't deny Fernandinho stats, and I just like the story that Kante had when especially with Leicester. I mean, that's what clubs like Villa I'll look to, because you look at someone that's not meant to be there but doing bits the whole season. So I'm still I will go for Fernandinho though.
Yeah, Russell? I think if you was writing a book about it, Kante's story would be more fun to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I think he's looking at it from a football point of view. I've got to go with Fernandinho.
Yeah, I think I would. I think I was Kante at the start, and I think I'm Fernandinho towards the end as well. So
that's the thing. A conversation can sway you, can't it?
Yeah, it can.
They can indeed. Next one, I don't know if this is a good one or a rubbish one actually, but it come into my head because one of them's John Stones, and obviously he's had quite a long career now, and I thought I wanted to compare him to one of the greats. In my eyes, one of the greats. So I've gone for Sol Campbell versus John Stones.
Oh dear God.
I think it's two very different types of centre backs. So I think it's a hard comparison.
It is, but who? Well, I think probably the first question then is who would you prefer to have? And I wouldn't say look at your centre back pairing because that's probably what you'd think you'd go. Well, if you've got a big brute at centre back, then you get John Stones, or if you've got like I don't know, maybe like a Fernandinho at the back, you would have gone a Sol Campbell because he's thingy. But who first comes into your mind where you go, I need them at centre back?
Sol Campbell.
So it's quite hard because obviously Sol Campbell had a good career, but you're looking at when you're speaking at football current players when John Stones is playing as well as he is, it's hard to like not pick him. If you know what I mean.
I love how you two both pick different players of each one so far. So clearly it's a good section.
Yeah. Like, the only reason I say Sol Campbell because you asked who would you want at centre back.
Mm-hmm.
And
John
Stones,
I get that because Stones is versatile, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and that's
he's
the only reason why
his career, isn't he?
He has, but he's amazing at CDM and a right back as well. He's got better.
At the start of his Everton career, he was a right back.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I've seen Sol Campbell venture up near the halfway line, and he gets more uncomfortable closer to the goal than than anyone. He's 100%. He's only a centre back, but he was good at it. And he's someone that you would lead the back line. But I remember you said something a couple of weeks ago about like John Terry and how he's an old like a throwback type of defender. Like he stays in his position, he knows what he needs to do. Sol Campbell's that type of guy. It was him. Didn't he score the goal that was disallowed in Germany
against Portugal?
What? Yes, it was. I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming. Anyway, but if there was a centre back I would pick, I would rely on him, and because I can't forget the years that Stones was iffy in that position. He wasn't set, and I think he wasn't set because he wasn't really a centre back. He's better more forward because those mistakes can be like kind of swept up by centre backs, for example. Yeah, exactly.
Mad that is.
To that, I'm going to go Sol Campbell because consistently he has had a better career. I mean, like you said, John Stones has been a bit like, is he that good there and been moved around? Obviously, because I don't know if it's because he preferred him going a bit further forward or just didn't trust him at the back.
Well,
and
he
I'd probably say Sol Campbell. He's solid, and he's big, strong. And I think
risk as well.
I think he was actually underrated. A lot of people was like more Terry Ferdinand best centre backs, but I actually thought Campbell was better than Ferdinand.
He was solid.
He's clever as well. He's I know it's off the pitch. He's quite an intellectual, isn't he? And I know he used that on the pitch to better himself and to do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
But Stones reminds me a bit like Trent, because Trent gets punished all day for doing things and letting in goals at a right back, because I don't think he wants to be a right back. When players have a flutter in mind, they can play in a few positions. I don't think it's easy for them to be amazing at the thing that they've been asked to do when they don't really want to be there. Stones wants to be up front. Stones wants to be like almost like assisting a lot more because he'd be further up the pitch. Trent is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And he can do them more. So I'm going to go with Sol Campbell.
We should actually do one, about talking about the best versatile players.
There has been a few. There's more now than I remember there being.
This podcast writes itself sometimes.
It does.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
It does.
Well, the next one, I don't know why this one's a full Tottenham one. I don't know what I was thinking when there's actually the next two are full Tottenham ones. Well, what am I doing in my life? Yeah, Jesus Christ. But I think this next one, these were two strikers that are I just thought were phenomenal. I just thought they were just pure goal scorers, and you needed them in their team, and you needed them in your team, but they were never considered the best. But comparing them against each other,
it's going to be Defoe and somebody else.
Yeah, one's Defoe, and I can't remember. Is it Sheringham?
No. It's not. They actually played in the same team at the same time.
Canute.
Canute. Oh my God, it's not Bent, is it?
It's not Bent.
Right.
I don't. No, it's not Crouch. I think you're missing
Berbatov.
someone else who. No, someone who's similar
Berbatov.
build.
Oh, you say Berbatov?
No, similar build and was just phenomenal player. He went to Liverpool for I think it was a season
Robbie
or two, but
Keane.
just didn't cut it. Robbie Keane.
Ooh.
That's
Defoe-
a tough one. That is
I've
a
actually got
tough one.
I've got statistics to go with this one as well. So Defoe, I've got
that's
appearances,
the
goals, and
topic.
assists.
Let us speak about it, and then the stats will come to it after.
Okay. So it's always a tough one for me because I love both players. I really do like. But even though I both play for Spurs, especially when I look at Defoe, this guy was just pure goal scorer. Keane was a great goal scorer as well, but I just look at Defoe and I always went, whoever brought him, he's scoring your goals, no matter where he goes. Even if he went to like Liverpool, Man United at the time, Arsenal, anyone like that, he's scoring goals. Doesn't matter who he goes to. You're definitely getting goals out of him.
It's a tough one because I was thinking one scores a lot of goals, like I'll say more goals, but you'll probably tell me the difference in stats and stuff. But then like Defoe was so he was so good at like reacting to things. And then I kept thinking that Keane probably scored more like just prettier goals, not prettier, but like, volleys, half volleys. I remember one season, the amount of half volleys and stuff that he scored was absolutely outrageous. But then I'll keep remembering Defoe scored some ridiculous goals.
Yeah. The one was it Sunderland? The one he scored for Sunderland against Newcastle. I always remember that one. He scored it from like 30 yards out. I was like, that was a banger.
There was one goal he scored from like the most acute angle. I think that was a half volley as well. I can't remember who it was against, but that's a really tough one. If I was going to sway, my opinion would be, is because I hear a lot of ex-pros when they talk about strikers that they played with, and they talk about the ones that stick in their memory and they wanted to play with. Most people say Defoe. And I think he was a bit of a, like, in that area of all the footballers, I think he was just highly thought of. Like he was proper. Where
Man United would him at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, and I understand Keane is quality, but you don't hear of him being held in that high regard from ex-players and stuff. So I would go for Defoe because I've always liked him, but that's a really tough comparison because Keane scored some bangers, and he did it at multiple clubs.
I think it's a good comparison. Rossi?
More clubs?
I think I'll just about sway with Defoe as well. I think, but like he left. Did he left Spurs and then went back?
Yeah, he left Spurs. Yes. He went to Portsmouth and then he went back to Spurs after that.
Yeah, and I just think that he was good as when he come back as he was when he left.
Yeah,
and to keep that consistency, and even when like he went to Toronto and then he come back, he was still playing as a good striker, like, and I don't know, he was unlucky for England, to be honest. I think he could have had a better career.
I agree. I do agree with that. It's a shame, but there was a lot of good strikers at the time. I think even Spurs.
It was
Spurs
hard
was a lot of good strikers
for the manager to pick the right striker, and I think when in games where we needed that goal, I think he could have been used a lot better. But obviously, management.
I agree with that.
I
agree with that as well. I think I'd say Defoe as well. So the stats to go along with that, I'll start with Keane first. So Keane had 349 appearances. He had 126 goals and 37 assists. Defoe had 496 appearances and he scored 162 goals and had 33 assists as well, like close to thingy. So
Keane did it in less games.
Keane's actually did better stats.
This is more probably better, more of a prolific striker, yeah. So,
but obviously Defoe's what sticks in our memories more, isn't it? So it's just a matter of opinion.
I think it depends on age as well. Because Defoe I know he was at West Ham, started out, and then they got relegated, and then he had a lot of issues with his transfer, and then moved. So I think he was in the Premier League from quite a young age.
Outed again.
Yeah, he got it. No, I don't think he did. He left in the January because I've heard his story. So when they got relegated, he handed in a transfer request, and then it all kicked off. So he decided to stay. I'm pretty sure he said he left in the January.
I know you played a bit.
Double check.
I remember.
He wanted to make it back up to him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Bless him. Okay, the next one. I don't know if this one's a good one or not, but I thought about that for most of them. There seemed to be good ones so far. I was going to say, yeah. So the next one is Spurs players again. Both of them played left wing. One of them still plays in the Premier League now. And he's kind of moved position slightly. The one has retired. I think he retired last season.
Bale.
And then who is the other player? Spurs player, current Spurs player.
He's playing for Spurs now.
Plays for Spurs now. Should be pretty obvious.
Son.
Heung-min. So Bale versus Son.
Are we counting? Is it just his Spurs career or his whole career?
You can count Bale on his whole career if you want to. I've got his Premier League stats with me.
I'm going Bale.
Mm-hmm. I don't think, to be fair, I don't think it's as easy as you think. I think Bale was more exciting, but I think with Son, he's a pure goal scorer, can set up goals. I'd probably say he's a lot more tenacious than Bale was. I think Bale was more about ability.
But I'm going off Bale's moments, like that run he had against Barcelona when we ran off the pitch and he come back on, scored that goal. The Champions League against us in 2018. He won that Champions League with the overhead kick, and then obviously Karius, he can't catch a fucking goal.
If you said it was just Premier League, would that sway your mind?
If it was just Premier League, then I'd say Son, because obviously he's done it for a bit of a longer time. And Bale was quite young when he played for Spurs, so he was still getting to his prime, which I think Son played most of his career in his prime at Spurs. But I think in North Korea, I think you've got to be Bale. He's won X amount of Champions Leagues and stuff. I think you can't see past that.
Yeah, in terms of my view, when I watch both of these players, I would probably sway with Bale as well, only because of that excitement. I may have been caught up with the hype because I know media in this country, with British players in particular, they hype them up to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But fair play to Son and what he's doing, because he has scored some ridiculous goals, and I think they go under the radar quite a lot.
Some runs as well.
And just think how good he is with his left foot as well.
He's
just as good.
He's both-footed, and he can score any type of goal, can't he? I think.
Yeah.
And that Spurs team, like, I know Liverpool won the Champions League, and it's not because of that, but that was my favourite Champions League. The fact how Spurs got there, like they scraped it against City,
the Ajax one as well.
In like the last kick of the game, Ajax was obviously a top team then who beat off big teams like Juventus and Real Madrid. And I think that Spurs team, that was it was a special team. And obviously Son was a big part of it.
So we're all going Bale.
Yeah, just Bale, just because of his whole career.
I'll hit you with some stats. So Bale had 166 appearances. He had 53 goals and 22 assists. Son has got 200. Only 277 appearances for me. Man, he's been there donkey years. Yeah. I was expecting that kind of like Defoe and Keane sort of thing, because he's 31, isn't he now, Son? He's in his 30s.
It's fair to play to late 30s, didn't they?
He did, yeah. So 277 appearances, 110 goals, and 53 assists.
Yeah, that's just position.
More than goal contribution in game, though, isn't it?
Yeah, because Bale actually played like proper left mid or left back, which Son's played left wing.
But like left forward, isn't it, really?
And Bale had that record where every game he played, they lost, didn't they? Like he had a really bad, he had a really bad record that lasted for pretty much about, I swear, it was a good 10 to 12 games.
It was, yeah. And Alex Ferguson called Redknapp and says you need to drop him because he's a bad omen. And Redknapp was like, "You clearly just want to sign him."
Yeah, drop him. Well, that's cheap.
Yeah, definitely. So the last one I've got, which I think you'll probably pick the obvious player to begin with, but then you might change your mind. So let's see if we could do the guessing game again. So its player is retired. One is still playing, but not in England anymore. One played for Chelsea. One played for Arsenal. They both played kind of left wing and the kind of right wing as well a little bit. Both of them had two. Both of them, their next moves were very bad moves.
Hazard and Sanchez.
Oh, beat me to it.
I
was thinking of a Hazard. Hazard.
Gentleman's agreement.
Sanchez.
Hazard.
Because I put Hazard in my top 10 wingers, I think I've got to give it him because how I'm going back on what I've said, ain't I?
Yeah, but I didn't even think of Sanchez as a winger, either.
It was.
Sanchez
he was. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think when we were doing the wingers.
Oh yeah, but I think Hazard. I think he brought more exciting moments. So yeah, like.
See, I think Sanchez scored more special goals. There were some Sanchez goals they were. I don't remember any Hazard goals that were amazing. I mean, we went on some scintillating runs and stuff like that.
Was it? Remember that sort of like?
Don't bring it up. If he's going to bring up the Arsenal one where he put Koscielny on his arse.
No, he did not. No, one about Sanchez when he did like that chip finesse and it just went just crept over the keeper. The keeper just like had no chance of getting it. But I think Hazard. I think that goal scored against Liverpool. You know, when it sort of gets like not laid off to him and he swings it around to the top corner.
Yeah.
I've just got to give it to him, but because I think obviously if you look past like Sanchez's Arsenal career and Hazard's Chelsea career, that's all like a blur really to them because it's been terrible.
Yeah, I think Hazard obviously did. He won a lot more in that time for the club, I guess, than Arsenal did.
He did, yeah.
But Sanchez was that kind of exciting player, and you hear reports of both players being amazing in the training grounds and doing bits and pieces and just tearing up with their natural ability. Shame about their bad moves, though. You are right; they both made bad moves, and it was a bit of a shame.
Sanchez made up for it. I think Sanchez made up for it. I think he went to he made a couple more moves, and he was at Marseille last season. And he had a really good season for them.
Marseille, and then he's back to now.
He's back at Inter. He scored the other night.
Yeah, he's actually not doing too bad. He's not obviously at his standards where he was at Arsenal, but he's not terrible. Whereas Hazard is terrible.
The players I like to watch
32 as well. Hazard is retired.
I know. Yeah, he's just like he's earned a lot of money in his career. He's done bits and he doesn't want it. He's
not bothered at all, is he?
The way he plays was it was amazing. But I do. Do I prefer the way Sanchez plays a bit more? I think I like
Sanchez for a couple of seasons.
He's just
for me.
Yeah, he's like raw, isn't he? He kind of he throws. He looks like he throws like he looks like he plays with 100% passion constantly. And that means like some of the things he's doing, the skills were so unorthodox. His arms and legs were like literally flapping all over the place, but has so much control, speed. Hazard was more like he just knew how to control the ball. He just knew how to have it glued to his feet and just kind of go.
It's like his ice guy team, innit?
And he knew, like I noticed with him, his balance. He knew where to lean in order to protect the ball. Like he kind of had that. Whereas Sanchez looked like his body naturally did things to get what he wanted, and he was a lot better at pressurizing the ball. Like I would be more scared if I saw Sanchez coming at me than Hazard for sure. Because
I don't know Sanchez's relationship with Ozil as well for a season was just NSYNC. It's mad.
I think you might
for a season.
Sway towards Sanchez a little bit as well. Like, there's no disrespect to Arsenal, but I think obviously that Chelsea team was a bit stronger than Arsenal's team at that time.
It was, yeah.
So I think Sanchez
shining light
really well with what he had around him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So who are we going for? Hazard?
I'm just gonna scribe it to Hazard.
Yeah, I think closer than it was at the start.
I may say Sanchez because he's still
I
playing.
think I'm going to say Sanchez. I think I'm going to say Sanchez as well. Just purely for he really excites me. Where Hazard, I just wouldn't say he was consistent. When he was fantastic. But then with Sanchez, I think he was a bit more of a team player as well. Whereas Hazard was a bit more of he'd give you more lone special moments. Where Sanchez was a bit more ticky tacky and would score some great goals. So I'll give you some stats on him. So I'll start with Hazard. He had 245 appearances in the Prem. He had 85 goals and 54 assists.
54 assists is mad.
54 assists is mad. Sanchez had 154 appearances in the Prem, and he had 63 goals and 31 assists. So probably a better goals. I don't know if that's a better goals to get rid of. It's not. It's very similar.
Yeah. About the outside, about the quite fair.
Yeah, it's not far off it now. So I think probably if you put 100 games on Sanchez, he's probably getting maybe just a couple more goals, but then the assists as well. Yeah, I'll probably say it's a bit on par, to be fair. So probably not bad comparisons. Did we enjoy that section?
I did.
Do that again?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I think there's a couple of good ones what I weren't expecting, like the Defoe and Keane one.
Yeah, I actually spoke to a friend from work, and he kind of gave me a little bit of inspiration. I want to shout him out because I don't want to. So our last bit that we're going to go through is predictions for this upcoming weekend. The first one's a bit.
My phone might die.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me an announcement. We'll whiz through. Well, you can do yours first, then your predictions. I'm going to give. Did Spurs win?
Yes.
Everyone can have a point for that first one because I'm taking we're all going to go for Spurs win.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we would have one. Can someone read the games out to me?
Oh yeah, okay. Chelsea, Brentford.
Draw.
Arsenal, Sheffield United.
Arsenal.
Bournemouth, Burnley.
Draw.
Wolves, Newcastle.
You hear what Wolves are? Flipping Wolf.
Wolves.
Ooh.
Okay. West Ham, Everton. I'm going to get a piece of paper in a minute.
West Ham.
Villa, Luton.
Villa.
Brighton, Fulham.
Draw.
Yeah, sure.
Liverpool, Forest.
Liverpool.
Oh. You do have to think.
I just think that we'll make it difficult for ourselves.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway. Man U, Man City.
Man U.
Ooh. Okay.
It's a shame. I didn't even write the results down, which is really annoying. So I have to listen to this back to get all the stuff.
Rusty's voice.
I could just send him in the chat after.
Well, no, we did it quite quick, so no, it's fine.
Yeah. So do you want to do yours, or do you want me to do mine?
I don't mind going.
Go on then.
Chelsea, Brentford, Chelsea. Arsenal, Sheffield United. Arsenal. Bournemouth, Burnley. That is a tough game.
It is.
I'm gonna have to go for a draw.
They're both poor.
If Burnley win, I could see a sacking near for Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's a war of the whack, isn't it?
Is it still Iraola?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Wolves, Newcastle. I know you said Wolves, and I was literally thinking that today, but I'm gonna go with a draw. West Ham, Everton. I don't know if this is the turn for West Ham. They're poor against Villa, and then they were poor in Europa. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say draw. Draw.
You're like a woman trying to pick her clothes.
Right.
Jesus.
Villa, Luton. I think Villa. Brighton, Fulham.
Villa.
You know, but I was going to say,
I know. I hope
they'll scrape it.
I hope we do. Brighton, Fulham. I can't see past Brighton for that one. Liverpool, Forest, Liverpool, and Man City. I'm gonna say City. It could be embarrassing.
I think that's a sensible option, but I just think you've got to think rivalry.
I know.
The quality of the football sort of goes out the window.
I've been completely wrong with. Yeah, I've been completely wrong with that derby before. I know there's a few occasions where, well, Man U have looked more than Man City for the past quite a few years, but they still managed to get some results in this game. So I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Go on, Lewis.
I've gone for Chelsea draw.
Okay.
Interesting.
Gone for Arsenal.
Of course.
Bournemouth draw.
Okay.
Probably going to be boring draw. Then I have gone for Newcastle.
Yeah, that's, to be fair, it's probably the most sensible thing. I don't know what me and Rossi were thinking.
Outside the box.
Yeah.
Wolves, Wolves are different, aren't they? They're kind of like.
And at home, I think they can make a difficult for anybody.
They can do some damage. I've gone for West Ham.
Okay.
It's in the pudding.
Yeah, he hasn't said it all podcasts. All podcasts.
You're going to start saying it a lot more than me now, guaranteed.
Is the Villa one next? Because I've missed Villa off this whole list for some reason.
Yeah.
Is the Villa one after them? Yeah. Villa.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. Then I've gone for Brighton.
Okay.
And I've gone for Liverpool. And then I have gone for Man City. I think Man City are going to smash them. They're 4-0. I really do. All right. So before Rossi's phone dies, we will end it there. So thank you very much for the support, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, we are loving this podcast, and I've got loads of more exciting ideas and everything like that. So we will see you in the next episode. So it's a bye from me, Howard.
Bye, people.
Rossi.
And it's a bye from me.
Bye.
Laters.